Yeah, it's official. I mean, people familiar with the terms have said it's this nearly 10% stake. It's a 9.9% stake at what is it, $8.9 billion. So what that tells us is they're doing what Howard Lutnick earlier this week confirmed from our reporting last week, and the president today said, hey, it's a 10% stake. Mm-hmm. But like we point out in our story, one of the things that analysts and experts around Intel say is like an equity stake on its own like doesn't do a lot to move the needle for the company. You need customers, you need partners. Yeah. I think that's really where the interesting part of the story is to me.
And I'm curious, how influential is this? Of course, we know that this is a non-voting stake that they're going to be having. How big of an influence would this be toward the company?
So I think, this is kind of just talking to people around this space, right? Is like, well, suddenly if you're a company with the government having a stake in your company, the questions you ask if you don't have them on as a board member is like, one person said, you got to start getting used to having Elizabeth Warren calling you every day. And I think that kind of encapsulates like where you now have the United States federal government as a partner, as an equity partner, as a stakeholder. That means Donald Trump can at any point just speak off the cuff about your company, whether good or bad. And you're just going to have you're going to be a target. There's going to be some return that you want, right? And I think that is both maybe a problem, but also one of the things we point out in our story. Like it could be good that that Intel has the thumb of the president kind of over them to try and move ahead.
Maybe. Who knows? We have this is a new era for capitalism
it's totally
in the U.S. as you've spoken about. Joe, I wanted to ask about the structure of this and the relationship with Chips and Sciences Act money. The president has been outspoken regarding the disdain that he has for the Chips and Sciences Act, which of course was approved by Congress and signed into law by the president. By President Biden.
Yeah,
the last president. Is the remaining Chips and Sciences Fund Act money that Intel was supposed to be awarded? Is that what represents the stake?
Yeah. I think most of that stake, right?
No new money is coming from the U.S. government to Intel?
As we understand it. I mean, the details were that it's the remaining money that they had been promised for the CHIPS Act, and it was in the form of grants, is now going to be converted to an equity stake. And I think you're asking the right question, which is, well, you still need capital, right? Like they have this massive plant that they have in Ohio that they have been building, and a significant amount of that money that was in grants was being put towards the building of this facility. And as one person said to me earlier this week was, okay, great. So you take an equity stake. Where's the other money going to come from? If you do want this company growing, that means they're going to have to be building, and they're going to need the capital to do that. So I don't know. Like we can't really speculate, right? Like what we know now is the equity stake is happening. And beyond that, there's really not a lot of detail. What does the president want? What is...
So he wants skin it sounds like he wants skin in the game.
Yeah. And what else? I mean, the point is you see them as a bit of a national champion. You see them as central to national security for the United States of America, central to economic prosperity, all these things, right? But like the point of the game, once you get there, is like catapulting this company ahead. It's lagged behind competitors for years now. I mean, Matt Boyle, who you're going to hear later, he and I were talking about this earlier. Like, when's the last time the average person was actually talking about Intel? This is a company that has fallen behind competitors, and it does need partners to help lift it up.
So while Intel's not the only U.S.-based chip manufacturer, it is the only U.S. headquartered company with a leading edge in terms of manufacturing. So
yeah.
How does this kind of all come into play? How is this integral for the administration's mission to keep manufacturing here in the United States?
Yeah, I think, listen, Donald Trump is a big fan of the industrial economy, right? He manufacturing has been at the top of his list since the first term. I mean, all he did was talking about steel and steel tariffs during his campaign in 2016. I think he believes on the one hand, yes, let's boost the domestic capacity for production of chips here, but he also understands, this chip manufacturer in particular is important for the AI battle that's going on. You do need Intel with NVIDIA and AMD. They can't just disappear. I mean, you can talk to anybody in this space and say, is Intel too big to fail? And every single one of them says, yes,